Hi Capricorn, this is Raina. Welcome to a new feature that I'm testing, trying out. It's a prosperity spread, and it's called the Rainbow of Prosperity. And this is just focused on, money matters, career matters. I've never done one of these before, I don't think. No, I don't think I have. And this is somebody else's spread, but I thought it would be kind of neat to, since I had the time, to kind of see how it goes. I did want to tell you, because this is intended for the first quarter of the year. I guess in financial circles, they have the 4 quarters. And so the end of March I think that's the first quarter, isn't it? So it's like in 3-month pieces. Of course, we're almost at the end of January, so it's almost like just basically 2 months. So this is the new moon in Aquarius that I'm recording this, and my intention is for this reading to go through March 27th, 2017, which is the new moon in Aries. Okay, so on this day in January, the new moon is actually in your second house of earned income. So it's very apropos for for Capricorn, for me to be doing this as one of the first readings. So you should see new beginnings in the area of the money that you earn. So let's see here. And by the way, in March, at that new moon, that will be hitting your 4th house of home and family. So you can have, like, if you're trying to buy a house or something like that, that might be a time that things come together. I will say that if there's any kind of real estate dealings going on, be careful, only because it's during a Venus retrograde. And any kind of like luxury purchases, which I'm sure house would qualify, but there can be things that you don't see because you're kind of like, in this idealistic mindset where you're just seeing all the good sides of something and not seeing all the blemishes. So, I think there's advice not to buy certain items during Venus retrograde, but, I also am very leery of, putting your life on hold just to obey the transit. So it's something you have to do based on your own intuition. There might be a very good deal that you're involved with, and you certainly wouldn't want to sacrifice that just for a transit. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to put out the cards, and then I'll tell you individually what each position stands for. So let me take this first pile and put them out based on that. It should be like this. This is a little bit lopsided, but it doesn't really matter. It just doesn't. Okay. Okay. So, the card that I got in the position of what you want is the Ace of Pentacles. So some of you want a new job, or you want a new opportunity. Maybe you want to start a new business. This can also be that you want a loan. You want some money so that you can start something new that's financially based. And if you see that there's that doorway, they call that a portal. And really, underneath it all, you probably want a new lease on life. You want something new to be entering your life because you see it in terms of it taking you into a new, way of being. As an earth sign, and I just did Taurus, so I was dealing with another earth sign, you want tangible things. You want tangible results. You want tangible job offers. You're not looking for, a lot of hot air, a lot of empty promises. So if it's a job offer, you want to know that it's going to really pay off. Now, what you need. Now, it's funny because when I did this first, I'm starting to kind of get into the groove of this reading because Taurus was the first sign I did it with. And that was the last one I did. So this is only the second time I've done it. And I really didn't embrace what that means right, beneath the surface. Really, what you need could be more of a spiritual thing, maybe, or a spiritual message on the situation. So you think I need a new job, but this is saying that you need to leave something which is not serving you. So how I translate that is that this is for people who are working someplace that they don't like to be at. And they're just focused on, I need a new job, I need a new job. And really the message is you need to start going towards that which you have an emotional investment in. Instead of saying what you don't want, say what you do want. And seeking what you want. So, with this card, it's almost like for some people, like they're looking for this money to fall from the sky. And it's like, it literally is from the clouds. And it's saying, that's all well and good, but you need to have that emotional connection to it as well. And that can be hard for you because it's very tempting for a Capricorn to get offered, a lot of money. And a lot of money is relative, really. If you're working for minimum wage, making $1 above minimum wage can feel like you've won the lottery because that's where your consciousness is at. But that's not the point. The point is that instead of focusing on the mundane issues, how is it feeding your soul is probably what they mean by that. What you already have. And this is kind of going along. Now, this could be a spiritual card, but I think in this context, it's like a card of conformity. It's like the white picket fence and the 2.5 children. That job that may be socially acceptable or even admirable, that framework where everything is so perfect on the surface, but underneath, it just isn't working. I keep going back to Eat, Love, Pray. And if you haven't read the book, you really should. Because sometimes when a book gets very popular, people, and I'm one of those people who are guilty of this, tend to think, it's probably not really that good. Because if everybody likes it, it can't, how could it be that good? Things that are popular, must appeal to the lowest common denominator. But I really feel like this is one of those rare exceptions where the writing is really good and the profundity of the spiritual experience that the author had is also very moving. And she had this life that was, enviable. And, she was married to a wonderful man, and yet she was up in the middle of the night, every night on the floor of the bathroom crying her eyes out because she knew that she was stuck in a fraudulent, or no, that's not the right word, just a phony setup. You know, she wasn't living an authentic life. But what was driving her crazy was just like this card. It was like everything, you know, she was being accepted by, you know, everybody thought that she had this perfect life. Let's put it that way. And you may have like a very commendable job. You may, you know, people may be impressed by you. And if you're not impressed by your own life, if there's something that seems lacking, it doesn't matter. It's just a facade then. So this is what you have, is that acceptance on a social or material level that you have when you conform to other people's expectations. And you could just say that the conventional life, you know, the life that a lot of people aspire to. What you need to give up. That's an interesting card. This is a card of living on the down low. And it doesn't mean that you're like cheating on your spouse, although that could be one facet of this card. But what you may need to give up is this tendency to be deceptive. And the deception may be in terms of, you know, lying to yourself even. This is what I talk about when I talk about excessive conformity. Maybe you're not being an authentic individual. This is somebody who does things behind the scenes. And maybe you need to kind of really come out with who you really are. Maybe you need to reveal that to other people. The swords relate to thoughts. And the 7 is kind of an interior type of thing. You may have a lot of thoughts that you keep to yourself about maybe their dreams that you have, that you don't share with other people because they go against the grain. Maybe you need to start living those dreams. And it doesn't have to be some sudden radical shift. It can just be little things that start to change within you. Maybe you stop pretending that you like what you're doing if you don't like it. Maybe you just start being more honest with people. When they ask you, hey, how's your job going? Well, you know, it's okay, but this isn't really what I want to do. So it's good for now, and I appreciate that I have it, but one day I'm going to be doing something else. Okay. Steps you need to take next. Now this is another interesting card, because usually we associate this with competition. I think, you know, I was just listening to someone talk about, you know, fear of being criticized and how that impedes people's ambitions. This is a card I would associate with having ambition. And yet there's a lot of people in the fray. So that's where the competition comes in. The wands correspond to the fire element in astrology. So they could be people such as Aries, Leos, Sagittarians. Maybe there are people from those signs, or one or more of those signs, that, you know, can help you in your quest for abundance and for success. But it could be just a mindset. Maybe you have been too reticent for some reason. Maybe you have, if you have worked for other people, you have allowed yourself to get into that habit of taking orders and not being assertive enough. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so you are very comfortable in the position of authority. But a Capricorn person, out of all of the cardinal signs, I could see, well, perhaps Cancer also, of allowing themselves to be a subordinate so that they can, achieve career, advancement. And in other words, they're willing to do something which is really not a normal part of their nature, to be in a position of taking orders and not giving them, because they want to increase their status on the job. And this is more of a self-assertive card, where you have to see yourself as worthy of competing with others. If you're insecure, you're not going to feel like you have the right to participate even. It doesn't have to be dog eat dog. It just means that you're in the game at all. The next card is, what resources are there for you to use? And this is the Six of Pentacles. And so you see that somebody who looks affluent is giving money to somebody who needs it, or people who need it. This can indicate getting a loan or getting just money from someone giving it to you, somebody who has the means to give it to you. Because I also got the Ace of Pentacles, and it was associated with possibly receiving money from someone, maybe even just unexpectedly. This is reiterating that sort of thing. It could be somebody that that has a lot of resources. And if that is appropriate, if you're starting a business and you need that, you're able to go to that person and they're willing to give it to you. And you see that this person is holding the scales. So there's a feeling of give and take. It's not feeling like a situation of exploitation. The person has a willingness to give because they feel like they are abundant themselves. And so if this is a person that they're not going to give you they're not going to hassle you about it, because they have more than they need, and they may be even happy to do it. They may be very generous, a very generous person. Perhaps it is a fire sign person, as I said, because fire sign people tend to be very generous. This is another card of, who can help you. This is associated with a home, Four of Wands, family. So maybe it's a family member, but again, the Wands, fire sign, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Could be a spouse. Perhaps your spouse has the means to help out and is willing to. It could be that there's some, as I said, you're going to be having a new moon in your fourth house. The fourth house is home and family in April, or in March 27th. So it's possible that something, maybe the sale of a house, the sale of some kind of, maybe if you are going from one place to another, you will make a profit And that's something you can apply to a business. You don't need to use a lot of money to start a business, though. It may be more of a case that you want to have reserve funds so that you can just pay your bills while you're launching a business. That could also be at play. The outcome is a card that's associated with making a choice. And it's the Two of Swords. You may have a hard time with this. You may feel that things are at an impasse. It could be in terms of your career aspirations. Maybe you want to go one way, but you feel like it would be more financially lucrative to do another thing. Now this, I'm talking specifically of your own business that you're launching. If you're working for somebody else, it may be that you're torn between two offers. But you may be in denial about something, and that's why the woman is blindfolded. You may be refusing to see things as they really are because for some reason you don't want to look at things. For some reason it's hard to look at them. You may also possibly be, I don't know, maybe you're deciding whether or not to have, maybe there's a partner involved that you're working with, and both of you have your own visions of what you want to do, and you're at loggerheads. You see that there's a moon in the background. So again, this could be something around if this is the culmination, this could be in that time frame of late March, when you have that new beginning in the area of home and family. Maybe you're deciding, whether or not you want to go. Maybe you want to go to a new location and you're not sure. And, that's, you want to, maybe you want to have a new home. You want to have, you think, who knows, maybe you think it would help your business life, but you're still being pulled in a different direction. So it's definitely a card. Let me pick a card from the Ascended Masters deck to see if we can have any final clarification or additional message. Interesting. Teacher. Well, for me, teacher brings up a lot of things. I'm just thinking of myself personally. When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher. When I was very young. And I really thought that was what I was going to do. I'm talking about, the typical type of teaching. And I dropped out of college and I went back and I actually started majoring in it, and I got as far as student teaching for very young children. And I ended up not doing it because I realized that my dream was based upon my experiences and that things had changed. And so it wasn't going to work because it wasn't how it was. And this may be something that is true for you. I think of Capricorn as a very wise sign. Some of you may be even thinking about doing things along the lines of education. Maybe this card is for a select few of you. And realize that being a teacher can be so many different things. It doesn't have to be, you got to get certification, you got to go to your student teaching and all those hoops that you have to jump through. You may be a spiritual teacher. You may be a yoga teacher. Well, that's a kind of a spiritual teacher, but it's more active. You know, there may be other ways that you can achieve those kinds of goals that are going to actually be more in alignment with what you want to do. Maybe you need to find a teacher. Maybe there's somebody who can guide you in the direction you need to go if you're in a state of, you know, not sure what to do next. And, you know, they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you might not have to actually actively do it. You may find that a teacher shows up right when you need it. So in any case, Capricorn, I hope you have enjoyed my experiment, and good luck to you. Bye.